Take us
Fire
home.
us up.
Fire us home with the mic.
Dude,
where's
go.
the mic? Come
You
on,
ready?
Divisional round football, baby.
What's a
the
bit?
mic?
32 years.
How many ventis have you had this morning?
No, this morning, dude, I'm ready to rock and roll. Jay, did your boys call you last night? Were they like, man, we went hard yesterday? We went crazy.
No.
It was a day.
I think you oversold it.
Oh no, I didn't. Because they looked at me like, "Are you okay?" Okay. We had to do a lot of hands. Anyways, 30 years it's been. It's been 30 years. I gotta give it to him. This guy, nobody gave him a chance. Everybody was laughing at him years ago when he was on the podium. And have you seen that speech from after training camp about how he's like, "Yo, believe me, I got a plan." Jay, you know I would have been all in. I'd have been there crying. I got you, coach. I'll be there, right? Like the way that this team comes out and fights, and credit to Tampa, they played a hell of a year. Like Baker, he deserves to get paid. Like the whole team, him and Mike Evans, they've doing some sweet things. But man, the Lions and Jared Goff and what they've done this year and what they did last week, and this game this week versus the Niners. Oh my God, it's going to be a nuclear. It's going to be insane if Debo can go. But my mic has got to be Dan Campbell in the Lions because I'm telling you, man, everyone's been writing him off and laughing at him, and now they're kind of sitting in the driver's seat like that. Everybody was laughing, and we kept receipts, and here's how it's going to end. And it's been an awesome year, dude, and credit to him. Fuck, I cannot wait for this weekend.
Yeah, that Lions team is so unique in the fact that, you look around what they do and the style of football that they play, and they truly embody their head coach. And, you have teams around the league that you can tell play for their head coach and play for that man and love that man. And then there's teams that, they're like, he's kind of the boss, but we're just out here playing. And, man, every single person on that team loves Dan Campbell, and Dan Campbell loves every single one of his players. It's such a special place. I still think the quote, "You're good enough for Detroit, Jared Goff," is hilarious.
Wow.
It's hilarious.
I think that is hysterical, right? Like, "You're good enough for Detroit." And he's like, "Thank you." Right? Like,
you're not that great. You're definitely not Patrick Mahomes, but damn
he thought
you're
about
good
it.
enough for us.
He thought about it as he walked up. He was like, "Wait."
Dude, he thought about that. He thought about that quote after his first venti on like Tuesday of that week of Wild Card Weekend. He's like, "If we win, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it." And then he said it, and he's probably like, "That was stupid. I probably shouldn't have said that." But dude, like, I just thought it was hilarious. And then like Goff, like literally Detroit is chanting Jared Goff's name. Like it's like this crazy utopian world in Detroit right now, where everything's just upside down. I mean, you think about the depths of hell that Detroit was in. Yeah. Not even, 4 years ago, right? Just complete. And now you've got Michigan has the national title in college football. There are teams playing in the division. Like, is Detroit football central in the United States right now?
Dude.
Is the city in the state of Michigan and Detroit like the football capital of the United States right now? Like, it's a weird thing to think about, but it's really true. It's true.
It is, man. And you guys mentioned that when Dan Campbell got hired, right? It was everyone. It's funny because people thought, okay, yeah, he sparked the Dolphins, was it, for a minute a few years ago as like an interim coach, but when he got hired, pretty much everyone, 95% of people that cover football, fans, looked at it as kind of a joke, right? Okay, they're bringing in this meathead. He's talking about biting people's kneecaps. I guess it was kind of, I guess we'll see how it goes with this guy. And then of course they get off to a bad start, and then was it the second season they were like 1-6 and. Yep. They lose that game on Thanksgiving because he can't manage the clock. And classic, we got a boneheaded Dan Campbell, right? Ever since basically the Thanksgiving game from a year and a half ago where he botched the clock against the Bills, I think it was, right? I think it was against the Bills.
It was against the Bills.
They have been one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the NFL. What do you guys think? I mean, you guys have decade and a half in the NFL. What is it about? He's not your classic, like, cerebral scheming coach, at least from the outside looking in. Maybe he is more behind the scenes. Like, what is it about him that's getting this team to play like this?
Well, number one, I think it's his attitude, and I think it's the fact that he's that guy every day. If you show up day one and in 3 years later, you're the same guy, you will have the loyalty of the entire team. As long as you're the same guy every day, like we are. We're the same guys every day. You can't come in and play favorites. You can't come in and like be like, hey, hush, hush, we're not going to tell anybody. Because the minute you try to do that shit, we're going to tell each other and be like, hey, can you believe this idiot tried to do this with me? But the minute that the star player comes in and is like, yeah, I just got fined a shit ton of money for being late, people are quick to be like, this guy is cool. He's accountable. He's going to keep us on our shit. And at the same time, as long as he comes out here and says funny shit and makes us want to play hard, it's going to be easy. But offensively, they do great scheming. You saw Penei Sewell polling this last week where he fucking murdered the corner. And then all of a sudden, you see all these screens and you see all these gadgets plays. They're very into it. And at the same time, they have a 1-2 punch in the run game, which is super fun to watch. And yeah, I think a lot of us for a long time have been up and down on Jared Goff. But I think this year for me has been like, wow, sometimes being a good quarterback means being a good leader and being able to get us into the right play and being able to at times give us one play. Like, that's what's so fun about football is when you don't rely it on one guy. Like the Bills for a long time with Josh Allen. Like, if Josh has a great game, good chance we win. Josh has a shitty game, we're fucked. Like, this is a team that you can pass the ball around to a lot of people, and at the same time, you can hand the ball off to a lot of people. So it's like, man, what are they going to throw at you? And that, to me, is what they're kind of good at. They're tough, and they can throw a million things at you that you don't know what it's coming. Like, dude, Penei Sewell pulling all the way around. I rewound that. I was like, fuck you. Look at this guy. And he totally just deked out the end like, dude,
He's a
stop.
freak.
Stop
He's a
it.
freak.
Stop it.
Yeah, I mean, to echo what Alex said, a lot of it is you gain the trust of your football team over being consistent for the good times and the bad times. Right. When you have a coach that rides the roller coaster that is the NFL season and says one thing one week or at the beginning of the year, like, here's how we're going to practice and here's how we're going to go throughout our week and here's how everything's going to be. And you're like, okay, cool. And then you like have 2 bad weeks in a row and he's like, we're changing everything, right? Everything is different. Like, you guys fucked this up. It wasn't me, so we're going to practice harder or whatever it is. And you're like, whoa. Or if things are going well and he starts kind of loosening up the reins a little bit, like, hey, you guys got this. It's fine. Like, all that inconsistency is really when you start going, is he the guy? Like, is he really the guy? When you have a dude that stands up in front of the room every single week and every single post game and everything and says something and then follows through on it. That's the biggest thing. He says something, whether it's right or wrong or indifferent, but he believes it. He follows through on it. So then you buy in like, okay, I'm following you. You're the head man. I know what you tell me. I can trust. That's the biggest thing. I got to trust what you tell me, man. If I trust what you tell me, I will run through this wall for you. But the second you lose the trust of that team, something like the Eagles, things start to fraction. Ooh. Right? Things start to fraction. Things start not going well because if you don't have leadership at the top, it all trickles down into the locker room and everything from there.
Yeah. Agreed. And I know we're going to make our official picks later in the episode, but if you look at, especially if Deebo Samuel's out, by the way, but if you look at 49ers roster, Lions roster, I'll still take San Francisco, especially the defense.
Yeah.
I don't think the gap is that wide. If you start to go, okay, quarterback, you're probably taking Goff over, I mean, not everyone.
Oh, Purdy hate. Purdy hate will not be
Purdy hater.
The way Goff is playing compared to Purdy.
Between Purdy and Cousins, how much hate in your heart do you have?
Right, you're terrible. Dude, you could just say his experience alone. The guy's played in a Super Bowl. He's playing in another championship. Like, he's led NFL caliber teams. Like, yeah,
save it for the picks.
You said it. Yeah. He's been.
No, I see what you're saying.
Dude, people dump on Jared. I tried to defend him like 3 months ago on a film review, and even you guys mocked me. But he's like, if you give Jared Goff a good car to drive, there's a reason why he was the #1 overall pick, 7 years ago? No one is saying that he's going to be Patrick Mahomes, who we'll talk about here soon. But when you give him a good car to drive, he drove one to the Super Bowl with the Rams a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's got a tight end. He's got receivers. He's got 2 running backs. He's got an offensive line. They've got a pass rusher in Aiden Hutchinson on the other side. So, like, I don't think the gap is that wide between these two teams.